I say good riddance. Why are we having this debate? We should be coming together, not as Republicans first, not as Democrats first. We should be coming together as Americans first and voting this down.
The House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, who is being extremely critical of the president's foreign policy, says Congress needs to check his power. Here's what she said at a press conference this morning.
We must avoid war. And the cavalier attitude of this administration, it's stunning. And the president just say, oh, I inform you by reading my tweets. No, that's not the relationship that our founders had in mind.
The president voicing his opposition to the measure in a tweet this morning saying, quote, hope that all House Republicans will vote against crazy Nancy Pelosi's war powers resolution. Also, remember her speed and rush in getting the impeachment hoax voted on and done. Well, she never sent the articles to the Senate. Just another Democrat fraud, presidential harassment. In the Roosevelt Room this morning, though, the president leaving the door open to informing Congress just a crack when asked if he might inform Congress before taking military action in the future. Listen to how he put it.
Would you seek congressional approval?
It would all depend on the circumstance. I don't have to, and you shouldn't have to be able, because you have to make split-second decisions sometimes. Sometimes you have to move very, very quickly, John. But in certain cases, I wouldn't even mind doing it.
Don't forget, this resolution is non-binding. It's a concurrent resolution. It's not a joint resolution, which Republicans say means that it has absolutely no teeth. But when asked about that this morning, the House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said, quote, this is a statement of the Congress of the United States, and I will not have that statement be diminished by whether the president will veto it or not. Don't forget, Neil, as a concurrent resolution, this does not go to the president for his signature, nor can he veto it. But there's a lot of debate here as to whether or not this thing really means anything more than just a political debate in the House and an upcoming one in the Senate. Neil?
All right, John Roberts of the White House, thank you very much. I want to take it very quickly to the floor of the House. Nancy Pelosi is laying out the groundwork for that House resolution to rein in the president's military initiatives here. It is expected to go along party lines there, but not exactly and completely along party lines. Democratic Congressman of New York, Max Rose, joins us right now from Washington. And Congressman, you place your limits here. You are against this measure to limit the president's powers here, right?
Well, absolutely. And first of all, Happy New Year,
to you as well.
Neil. It's great to see you again. Let's be clear about what has happened over the last several weeks. First of all, the killing of Qasem Soleimani was legal, justified. Nobody should mourn the loss or the death of someone with the blood of U.S. soldiers on his hands. He was a terrorist. In the immediate aftermath of that killing, though, I, along with many members of Congress, came out and said it matters what happens tomorrow. In the event of an inevitable Iranian retaliation, and at that point, we didn't know what it would look like. We were not interested. No one should be interested in war unless you have to go with war, and I was encouraged by the fact that the president de-escalated the situation. And so now here we find ourselves, and I do not believe that what this calls for is a political messaging document. Instead, what we have to do in a bipartisan fashion is talk about separation of powers, talk about revising these authorizations for the use of military force, which are more than 20 years old or nearly 20 years old. We have serious questions to consider. This is not the way to do it.
All right, so when your colleagues say they weren't convinced, given the briefings on the justification for this attack on Soleimani, you obviously differ.
Well, yeah, look, there are several justifications for this. One, you have Article 2. But secondly, you have the 2002 AUMF. Qasem Soleimani has killed so many soldiers, injured so many others. I think about people I served with in Afghanistan who this man nearly killed. So yes, I understand that. And also, may I say that when we're looking at men and women in uniform, you can't one day talk about assaults on our institutions, trusting people, and then the next day not trust people. But with that being said, that is a matter of assaulting, killing a terrorist. Now we have real questions of war and peace. But those questions have to be dealt with through looking at the authorization for the use of military force. force, looking at congressional appropriations for long-term and protracted wars, should not be dealt with messaging documents and straight-up politics. Congress is not a rapid response PR agency. It is a serious body, and we've got to treat it as such.
You know, you are a Democrat in a very Republican district, and some are reading into this decision that you wanted to counter the controversy that you found yourself in by going ahead and pursuing impeachment and finding justification for it. What do you say?
Well, first of all, I'm not in a Republican district. I'm not in a Democratic district. I'm in a patriotic district. Voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and then voted for Max Rose in 2018. When the impeachment inquiry and impeachment decision was being made, I said one thing over and over and over again, and that was this is the second most consequential decision I could ever have to deal with as a member of Congress. The first being the decisions of war and peace. And now, here we are not too long after. I will never play politics with a decision like this, so people can say what they want. I do not care. What I do care about, though, is keeping America safe and treating our men and women in uniform with both the respect that they deserve, as well as treating them as the most potent natural resource that we have, not to be unnecessarily sent into war, but also not to be unnecessarily constrained.
Congressman, thank you very, very much. We'll see what happens.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Well, the Congressman